After over a decade since the last numbered entry in the Diablo series was released, fans have been eagerly awaiting the next title's arrival. Blizzard's reputation as a company has changed quite a lot since 2012, and after a mobile spin-off game that underwhelmed to say the least, there's a lot riding on this fourth entry for the demon-slaying franchise. With only 4 months to go, let's look at 7 reasons why fans should be hyped for Diablo IV. Number 7. The best cinematics in the series. The cinematics team at Blizzard has never missed a beat. Diablo is not a very story-focused series, but when it does decide to provide a cutscene, players can count on the highest quality in terms of animation, voice acting, and direction. Time and time again, Diablo's trailers, shorts, and cinematics have served to hype players up to kill hordes and hordes of evil demonic foes. And Diablo IV is no exception. The trailers and cinematics shown so far have cemented themselves at the top of a long list of high-quality presentations. Many fans have been excited to see that the 2 cinematics released for Diablo IV have been even better than the ones from previous games. Whether it is Lilith's gruesome return or the epic battle between Inarius' forces and an onslaught of demons, the cinematic presentation is sure to inspire plenty of players when June the 6th rolls around. Number 6. Diablo's music never disappoints. The series has always had amazing scores. From the first time stepping into the sundered canyon in Diablo III to the slick guitar of Diablo II's rogue encampment. Considering how often players spend time in specific settings, the themes attached to certain locations have stuck with players for decades. In the recent cinematic for Inarius, an epic tune accompanies the powerful hero. In the Diablo books, other characters would hear a beautiful melody whenever Inarius was in their presence. It is exciting to see that the composer not only delivers more amazing music for the next game, but also finds ways to reference Diablo lore for the ultra fans. No matter how the gameplay turns out, the music of this next entry will surely join previous themes in the catalogue of phenomenal video game soundtracks. Number 5. A return to the series' roots. The first Diablo was praised for its chillingly brutal depiction of medieval fantasy. The gameplay focused on making the player vulnerable with challenging enemies and an oppressive atmosphere. This continued for the most part in the sequel, but by the time Diablo III came out, the series had evolved. Blizzard wanted their third game to appeal to a wider audience, and they designed this iteration of Sanctuary to be brighter and more colourful. Players were immediately rewarded with devastating skills that ploughed through enemy forces in an attempt to achieve the purest power fantasy. Many fans were upset by this choice though, and it only got worse when Immortal came out last year. However, the marketing material for Diablo IV has reassured fans that this next game will serve as a return to form. While learning from the multiple gameplay iterations over the years, the overall atmosphere and tone showed off so far indicates that Diablo IV will be more horrifying and brutal than the last 2 outings. It is exciting to see the developers demonstrate a love and understanding of Diablo's history, and hopefully this return to Sanctuary marks a revitalization of the series' dark fantasy roots. Number 4. New character customization. Diablo has always had a focus on building out one's own unique demon killer. There's always been multiple classes for players to choose from, along with options to develop that character across a playthrough. But when it comes to character customization, the options have been minimal. Previous games have had set appearances for each class, but with Immortal, Blizzard at least offered a few options for personalizing the look of one's chosen character. Here, in Diablo IV, the options have been expanded far more. There are 8 total face types, 10 hairstyles, and facial hair options. Other, more intricate details like makeup and tattoos will further provide the player with tools to craft a more unique-looking Demon Slayer. Number 3. Open World. Diablo has always had a loose structure in the way players navigate the settings within Sanctuary. While it has never been a completely on-rails experience, players had no choices in the order of settings they explored. Each act was assigned a new location, and every player had to follow that same path. The levels themselves were mostly open, but interconnecting paths shuffled players between zones in a uniformly curated way. With Diablo IV, the developers are moving away from the designated act and setting structure into a new open-world design. Each act marks a new decision for the player. Do they want to travel to a desert region or a snowy mountaintop? Every player will now have options in how they carve their own path of destruction across the lands of Sanctuary. Number 2. New stats. The Diablo series has been known for allowing players to customize the playstyle of their chosen class to great effect. Previous titles have seen some legendary builds like Diablo II's Hammerdin or Diablo III's Demon Hunter Marauder Sentry build. Once players have chosen their class, the real customization plays over the course of the game, as that character's stats are focused into a specific playstyle. There are not a ton of changes in the build options across characters. While the devs are following the classic rule of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, they have introduced some new stats to further set different character builds apart from one another. The new stats include Angelic Power, Demonic Power, and Ancestral Power. Angelic Power allows players to increase the potency of buffs. Demonic Power is the opposite, as it empowers debuffs instead. The last of the new stats, Ancestral Power, increases the abilities of one-hit effects. These new stats are sure to create awesome new options in the builds for different classes. Number 1. New traversal options. The options for traversing the lands of Sanctuary have seen very few changes since the first game came out over 2 decades ago. While Diablo III ditched the optional sprint for a faster pace of gameplay, traveling in Diablo titles typically means walking or running along with some sort of teleporting from waypoints or scrolls. With Diablo IV, the ways players navigate the open areas and more claustrophobic dungeons have seen some exciting updates. For one, large gaps can now be jumped across. Previously, players approaching a drop-off in the level geometry would have to find a way around. Recent gameplay footage shows off a new leaping mechanic that lets players more easily traverse the varied settings of Sanctuary. There's also a new emphasis on verticality. In old Diablo games, the player feels mostly magnetized to the floor, and the spaces themselves may include some stairs, but they are mostly flat in their layout. Along with the jumping mechanic, gameplay footage shows players climbing up and down cliff sides, indicating more variety in the design of each space. Furthermore, Diablo IV will introduce mounts to the series. Players can now travel open areas on horseback, negating any previous lulls that may have arisen from slowly walking or running across the wide landscapes. Diablo IV has a ton of new additions to be excited about. What is the main thing that you're most excited about for when the game drops? Sound off in the comments, and otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content just like this.